Hello and welcome to Roaming Norway. Today we are talking Tesla batteries and we are putting them into a tier list. And there have been a ton of Tesla batteries throughout the years. There have been some that are well known, some that are unknown. Today I'm going to talk about 6 different batteries that Tesla has put into their cars, of course in all the different markets. And we are going to arrange them into this tier list from best to worst. So, let me just start immediately with the first battery cell. And there is a reason that I'm starting with this 18650 cell. This is the first battery that Tesla really used. They put it into the Tesla Roadster and the Model S and X. And they still use this battery to this day in the Model S and X. So it has had a very long life cycle compared to many other manufacturers that change out their batteries throughout the years. This one has been like 12 plus years plus the Tesla Roadster, so even more in Tesla cars. So that's very impressive in that sense. It has an energy density of 250 watt-hour per kilogram, which is quite good, I would say, especially early on. It's of course an NCA battery, which means it is nickel, cobalt, aluminium for the cathode. This provides great charging performance, and these batteries were actually one of the best charging electric vehicle batteries early on. Not anymore, but very early on they were. They are made by Panasonic and have a relatively high cobalt content, which provides thermal stability and better charging performance in cold weather. Yeah, and of course the first battery that Tesla has installed in a car, and they still use it to this day in the Model S and X. That's very impressive to me. It has been a great battery for electric vehicle adoption. It has shown that you could charge Teslas at a high kilowatt or a high power. For example, the Model S, when it came to Norway in 2013, I think, we could charge it at 120 kilowatts, which was at the time insane. We had other cars that could charge at 50 kilowatts, so this was more than double the competition. Absolutely insane. Today it charges at 250 kilowatts because it has had both pack improvements and cell improvements over time, of course, and it now charges at 250 kilowatts. It doesn't have the greatest curve. It's okay, but the competition has actually been very fierce, especially from China these days. So it's difficult for these cells to hold up, and it might be something that Tesla are looking into changing. But for electric vehicle adoption, it showed that cars can charge at a pretty high power, and it was a revolutionary cell early on. I want to put this battery in to the B tier. So not the worst, not the best, right in the middle, and I think that's where it fits in. Let's move on to the next cell, or the next battery. After the 18650 cells, Tesla started experimenting with 2170 cells from Panasonic as well, and later on with LG. And I want to start with the LG version. So the LG version has a similar watt-hour per kilogram as the NCA cells, but it has a different chemistry. It is nickel cobalt manganese instead of nickel cobalt aluminium. This enables a lower cost, worse charging performance in general, and these cells are also made in South Korea and China, and these cells are actually only used in the Model 3 and Y. The LG 2170 cell, which means that it's 21 millimeters in diameter and 70 millimeters in height, which I forgot to mention at the 18650 cells. It's the same calculations, you just remove the zero at the end. Of course it's not 650 millimeters high, that would be kind of insane. Anyways, this LG battery goes into all the cars that are delivered in Europe for the long-range batteries. It also has been imported into the US at the Fremont factory, so certain Model 3 and Ys in the US have the LG battery. This battery is made outside the US. This means that the car doesn't get the federal tax credit, which is why Tesla tries to use the Panasonic 2170 cells in the US. And I'll talk about that later. Anyways, this battery has kinda a worse charging performance than many of the competitors. It doesn't hold 250 kilowatts, which it promises as its peak for any more than a few minutes. You plug in at a very low state of charge, like you can plug in at 0% and you get this charging performance, 250 kilowatts, then it just drops off immediately and it kinda sucks to charge. And it sucks to charge high up, and it has worse thermal performance than its competing Panasonic 2170 pack that I will talk about in the next step here. So, it is a safer battery in general than the NCA battery. The NMC batteries have a less chance of thermal runaway, but modern electric vehicle batteries doesn't really have this thermal runaway problem in general anyways. So, I guess that puts it up from the D tier to the C tier. Bad charging performance for a modern battery. Doesn't have the federal tax credit in the US because it's made abroad. It's used in the Giga Berlin and the Giga Shanghai factories mainly, but I've heard that it has made its way to the Fremont factory probably because they needed more batteries. So it's made in South Korea and China at LG Energy Solutions factories. Let's move on to the next battery, and this one is quite a classic one as well as the first one I mentioned. This is the 2170 Panasonic battery, and to my knowledge this is a nickel cobalt aluminium battery, just like the 18650 battery. And it's important to note that it's difficult to find all the chemistries and everything. Tesla changes things around, and to my knowledge it's also possible to change the chemistry at the designated cell. So you can change the chemistry of 2170 cells to NCA, to NMC, whatever you want throughout, just to get optimal performance and longevity for the battery. So the 2170 Panasonic cell, 250 kilowatt max, has a great charging curve for its time when it came in 2017 in the Model 3, I think. And this Panasonic cell is the reason that the earlier Tesla Model 3s charge better than the new ones, or at least the ones with the LG pack. The ones that are sold in Europe, the ones that are sold in China, they charge worse than the American one that has the 2170 cells from the Giga factory in Nevada, which has a joint assembly line with Panasonic to make these batteries. The 2170 cells they hold 250 kilowatts, way longer than the LG cells. They have better thermal performance in the battery. They can output more power for a longer amount of time, and they are just generally better than the LG Chem batteries, or the LG Energy Solution batteries, which are the same cylindrical shape. But these, to my knowledge, they have a nickel, cobalt, aluminium chemistry, and if they have a nickel, manganese, cobalt chemistry, they are still better. But I think they have a nickel, cobalt, aluminium chemistry. From my research, they still use nickel, cobalt, aluminium, which has a higher cobalt content and better charging performance. So, this 2170 cell doesn't reach the S tier. It holds 250 kilowatts for a little bit, but it also drops off, so it's not that great. But at the time it came out, it was quite revolutionary in 2017. I don't think we had, I know we didn't have V3 superchargers yet, so they couldn't even utilize the full power of this battery when it came out. It was way ahead of its time. So yeah, but it wasn't really upgraded, they didn't improve the battery over time, and now it has fallen behind again. But it's still better than the two other batteries that I've talked about. So this battery gets, for me, in a Tesla list, an A tier. Let's move on to the ugly duckling, the 4680. This is, to my knowledge, an NMC battery, nickel, manganese, cobalt. It was unveiled in 2020 at Tesla's Battery Day as a revolutionary battery. It's a larger cell, 46 millimeters in diameter, 80 millimeters in height, and it is Tesla's newest experimental edition, and it's their own only and first self-developed cell from the ground up. This is a Tesla battery, not Panasonic, not LG. And this is a larger battery, so you have more energy density per cell, so it's more affordable to build these batteries. It has a cost reduction design, like I mentioned, and it has a tabless design, which, there are tabs to connect the cathode and the anode in normal battery packs. This one doesn't use that. It uses some kind of printed technology. And yeah, it's a cost reduction design. People always mention this 4680 battery as a revolutionary design in charging performance or thermals or everything else that's important in a battery. But it's really not. It's a cost reduction design, this 4680. And from my knowledge, this battery so far charges terribly. So my friend Brandon Flash, check out his YouTube channel. He owned a 4680 Model Y because this battery was put into the Model Y as a test. And they use their customers as a guinea pig for this battery. And the charging performance was absolutely terrible because of the terrible charging performance. I think it was advertised at 230 kilowatts max. It never really reached that for more than 4 nanoseconds, and then it just dropped off immediately. So absolutely terrible charging performance. And then this 4680 cell was actually installed in the Cybertruck. Of course, with an 800 volt architecture, not able to charge at the Tesla superchargers because they are at a 500 volt architecture yet. But it's coming. But it doesn't matter. The thermals of the Cybertruck charging seems to be bad. And not like super terrible, but not what we expected at all from the Cybertruck. So this 4680 cell, even though Tesla advertises that the Cybertruck could at some point reach up to 500 kilowatts on their new real version for superchargers, it'll only reach it for a few seconds, then drop off and have a terrible average charging curve. The peak doesn't matter, the charging curve matters, and so far I'm not convinced of the 4680 cell. I hope Tesla can fix it, but they have been working on this cell for probably, well, it was unveiled 4 or 5 years ago, so they have worked on it for quite a bit longer than that, and it has been terrible so far. The charging curve has been terrible so far. So, the 4680 NMC cell, I'm sad to say, but for me, from the charging curves that I've seen so far, I have to put it into the D tier, the lowest tier on this list. Do you agree with me? Have you seen the charging curves? Let me know in the comments down below and we can discuss a little bit, because I know a lot of people think that this is a revolutionary battery, but from the data that I have today, 18th of January 2025, it has not convinced me. Maybe tomorrow, I don't know, we will see, we will make another tier list, but today it doesn't convince me at all. Let's see. We can take the Cattle LFP first here. So, the Cattle LFP battery. This one was introduced in 2020, I think, in Teslas. Of course, Cattle is one of the largest, if not the largest, battery manufacturer in the world. They are a Chinese company making mainly lithium iron phosphate batteries, but they also make NMC batteries. This one has 170 kilowatt max, and you say, okay, that sucks because my battery can do 250 kilowatts. Well, this is an LFP battery. It's more thermally stable, it has a flatter charging curve, and the charging is actually pretty okay, especially when it came out in 2020 for the cars. In this day and age, it's kinda regarded as a mediocre LFP battery, lithium iron phosphate battery. It's actually the exact battery that Tesla still uses to this day. It's installed in this exact car, the CATL LFP battery, the CATL 6L I think it's called. They might update the CATL batteries to new ones because CATL has been amazing at making new technology advancements in their battery technology, and they have some awesome charging batteries that I hope Tesla want to utilize in their standard range or rear-wheel drive cars. Standard range rear-wheel drive cars. This battery is not available in the US anymore due to tariffs on you disqualify for the tax credit with a Chinese battery, so they're not available anymore. LFP batteries are great in my opinion. I think they are kinda like the future for cheap vehicles, at least. From my knowledge to this day. That might change tomorrow. You never know. With battery technology, it changes all the time. It's cheap, it's thermally stable, you can charge it to 100% to, of course, calibrate it. It doesn't really like to stay at 100%, even though it's an LFP battery. But it's, cheaper, and that's very, very important for electric vehicle adoption. And as I said, to this day and age in 2025, this is not really a great LFP battery. It's actually one of the worse ones, in my opinion. It's a generation 1 LFP battery. But for its thermal stability and making electric vehicles cheap for many people, especially this Tesla Model 3 rear-wheel drive, which has an amazing value, I put it into the C tier. Now, let's move on to the last one. And this is the BYD Blade LFP battery. The BYD Blade LFP battery is, of course, as the name suggests, also an LFP battery, just like the CATL one. So it has a lower energy density. It is more affordable to put into the cars. And BYD is actually means build your dreams. It is also a Chinese company that's different from CATL. BYD Blade batteries has also, like the CATL, prismatic cells, like most LFP batteries, if not all. They have large blades of batteries, like the name suggests, and this gives better thermal performance in cold weather. It's actually quite a safe battery. BYD has a test where they puncture the battery and it doesn't cause a thermal runaway like it would in most other battery cells, so it's safe. But of course it has lower energy density than the other batteries on this list, but does that really matter when the charging performance is amazing? The charging performance of the BYD Blade battery is the best charging performance of any Tesla battery. It holds 170 kilowatts for quite a while in its 60 kilowatt hour size, so that's quite a good C rate. It charges good high up in the battery. It goes from 0 to 100% faster than most other batteries that I've seen. There are some crazy ones in China now that's even better than the BYD Blade, but for a Tesla battery, I have to put this battery into the S tier compared to other Tesla batteries. It has a flat charging curve, you can plug in at 70%, and you will still get 170 kilowatts. You can plug in at 30%, 10%, 0%, and you get 170 kilowatts for a little while. Then it drops off, but still holds a good curve. So you can expect it to hold its maximum charge rate, 170 kilowatts, for quite a while. And I have argued that Tesla Model Ys with this battery, I will mention which cars actually have the BYD Blade battery, because there are so few Teslas that have this BYD Blade battery. It's the rarest Tesla battery by far. So this BYD Blade battery is just amazing. The C80 LFP has difficulties in winter. It uses a lot of time to charge up in the winter and heat up the battery to get an optimal charging rate. You need to reach 40 degrees Celsius almost to get maximum charging rate. This is not the case with the BYD Blade battery. With the BYD Blade battery, you can just plug in with quite a cold battery and you get the maximum charging rate immediately. So it's better cold weather performance. And in my experimenting, it has nearly the same or better cold weather performance than the LG 2170 long range batteries that we get here in Europe and in China. So absolutely insane charging performance for a Tesla battery. This is what I personally call a generation 2 LFP battery. In China now they have generation 3, or you can argue that they have generation 4 LFP batteries that I can't wait to test, which have absolutely insane charging performance. I hope they have the same cold weather and safety stuff that the BYD Blade battery has. There are even newer versions of the BYD Blade battery that Tesla hasn't utilized yet. So, which cars have the BYD Blade battery? Well, a select rear-wheel drive made in Berlin Model Ys has the BYD Blade battery, but not all of them. If you buy a XB7 car, which is the VIN, it means that it's made in Berlin. It needs to be a rear-wheel drive, only rear-wheel drive, and only the standard range, or the one with the least range. It's actually the Tesla with the lowest range is the BYD Blade LFP battery because it's smaller than the Cattle LFP battery, and it's it's only those that come with the BYD Blade battery. But it's confusing because some of them also have the Cattle LFP battery. So you need to go into the VIN, to go to place 7 in the VIN and see if it's an E. If it's an E, it's the BYD Blade LFP. If it's an F, it's a Cattle battery. And you comment down below, oh, I have an E, but it's a long range. So it doesn't matter for the long range. So don't check your VIN if you have a long range performance, range rear-wheel drive. It doesn't matter. This VIN check only applies to the standard range, the lowest range Model Y rear-wheel drive from Giga Berlin. So keep that in mind. This BYD Blade battery, I made multiple videos on this. I have tested 3 different cars with this battery. I've tested one with the C80L battery, and I have one with the C80L battery here. So I know that the BYD Blade LFP is much better. Is it the best battery in the world? Nope. But I think it's the best Tesla battery. I think the Chinese batteries that are coming out, the Seeker Golden Brick battery and stuff like that, you can watch out of spec. I'm sure there will be tons of videos on that. I can't wait to see it, and I hope that Tesla swallows their pride and actually buy some of these great batteries to put in their cars, at least in Europe and China. This was my tier list, and it's my personal opinions. Do you disagree? Well, leave a comment down below. I will also link this tier list that I made, so you can make your own tier list and share. If you share it, make sure to tag me at roaming at Roaming Norway on X, and also Roaming Norway on a ton of other platforms. You can go to roamingnorway.com to find all my social platforms. And if you decide to buy a Tesla, please use tesla.roamingnorway.com, which is my referral link. You don't necessarily need to use my referral link, but use someone's referral link. And if you don't have any, use tesla.roamingnorway.com and you get a nice discount. Something new that I want to show you as well. The sexy knob, which is connected with the sexy commander here. It gives me the ability to turn on slip start for extra traction with this rear-wheel drive car in the winter. I can turn off regeneration or turn it down if you prefer that. There are a ton of other features with this one. I now have a discount link in the description down below, so go to that discount link. And if you don't want to use the link, you can just use the code roaming on Enhance Auto's webpage, and you get a discount on this link. And it also helps me and supports me. So I'm very, very glad that Enhance Auto decided to give me a discount link. I also have a discount link for Joa. Jowa makes some of the best Tesla accessories, and they are super high quality. They cost more than the competition, but they are absolutely great. And this is what makes me able to film while driving. I can place my iPhone here, and while I'm filming, it's also charging via this cable and MagSafe, and it's super stable. It has never fallen down from this mount, so absolutely amazing. You can see that I also use the Jowa mats here. They are great. They are super dirty now. I need to actually wash them off. They are full of salt because we are in Norway, but they have been absolutely amazing to wash, and it just washes right off. They are expensive, but in my opinion these are worth it, and you have a discount link in the description down below if you're interested in Jowa mats as well. Thank you so much for watching. If you didn't like this tier list video, leave a comment down below. If you liked it, leave a comment down below. Anyways, have a fantastic day, and I hope that you want to make your own tier list and share it with me on social media. roamingnorway.com, all my links are there. Thank you so much, and talk to you very soon.